rebuild the ancient ruins. They will restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. A new earth. Imagine waking up tomorrow and having no CNN headlines telling you of all the war and the murder and the violence and Bosnia and Afghanistan and Iraq and the Middle East and Israel and every place else in the world where violence is going on, and in the cities of Washington, D.C. and Rome, and the fall and financial collapse of Greece. And none of that is there. And instead you get the Hawaiian weather forecast. Well, today it'll be sunny and 82 degrees. Yep, that's it. Enjoy. Cities won't look like they do now. Oh, they will, to some extent, only better. It kind of reminds me of those commercials you always get. New and improved. New and improved heaven. Now I don't know how that works. New and improved earth. Now I have a lot of ways that could be new and improved. And that's the place that we're going to live. I think all too often we think that all of us are going to be taken up into heaven and then we're going to float around in the clouds somewhere. But that's not what it says at all. It says there'll be a new earth. And here's the catch. We always think that we're going to go to heaven and live with God, right? Yes? Yes? The Bible says there'll be a new earth and God's going to come live with you. First thought that comes to mind is you better go home and clean up your house then. That God will live on earth with his people, and they will be his people, and he will be their God, and there'll be no need for sun or moon or any other lights, because the glory of God will illumine everything. There'll be no hidden places. And that means huge changes for all of us. Nothing impure will live on the new earth or the new heaven, because nothing impure can live in the presence of God. And God's new house is here on earth. So how big is this? Where is it at? When will it be built? Don't know when it'll be built. We'll get that one off the checklist right away. I can tell you how big it'll be. In our text it says it'll be 12,000 stadia long and 12,000 stadia wide. So that clears it up, right? Now you know how big heaven will be, and in the middle of it, it'll have a New Jerusalem, a great shining city that looks like jasper, it says. Emerald City, only better. 12,000 stadia is approximately 1,400 miles. 1,400 miles long, 1,400 miles wide. You do the math. That's a big area. And then it says it'll have walls that'll be 144 cubits thick. Now here's the part that I don't get. In a totally perfect world, in a totally perfect heaven, why do you need walls? If you thought we were going to get an answer to that, you don't. That's a rhetorical question. I really don't know. And these things aren't tiny little walls either. They're 200 feet thick, made of precious stones. It's got to be a gorgeous place. And this is the place that Rose was talking about this morning, that in my Father's kingdom are many mansions. One for all of you. Little ones, big ones, medium-sized ones. I'm not sure that we'll have ownership or property. But we will have our space. We will have our parts. When we need privacy, it'll be there. When we want to be together, it'll be there. You'll never have to be lonely. You'll never have to be depressed. All of that will be taken care of in this wonderful place called earth. And at that point, and we'll talk more about this next week, we will become human. You say, well, I'm already human. No, you're broken human. This is going to be new human, new and improved. Going to be much better than what you are now. Imagine no disease, no brokenness, no owies on the forehead. All good stuff. Why? Because at that point, God says He will be our king. He will be our ruler. He will be the one in control. He will be the one setting the agenda. And everything will be for His and our glory together, because we will rule this new earth with Him. One of the great Dutch theologians of our time was a man by the name of Abraham Kuyper. He had this to say about this new life. He says, there's not 1 inch in the entire area of our human life as it is now or as it shall be, about which Christ, who is sovereign Lord of all, does not cry out, mine. It's all God's. And He put it under the control of His Son Christ, who reigns forever. Pastor by the name of Bruce Milne said this: Christ's resurrection is not a matter of a spirit appearance. In other words, Jesus didn't die and then His ghost came back. Kind of like Medium or any one of these other shows, you know, where the ghosts are always taking over. And they're doing all sorts of obnoxious things. Says that isn't what happened at all. It's not a matter of a spirit appearance, but utterly unprecedented, unique, world-transforming, heaven-anticipating, sovereign action of the Creator in the first installment of the remaking of the world. I think sometimes we think that when we all go to heaven, then God's just going to destroy the earth. And it's done. Doesn't say that. It says He's going to remake it, remold it, make it better. Make it like it was in the beginning, when Adam and Eve enjoyed all the splendor of walking with God, of being in His presence, of enjoying their work, their labors. When nothing was tedious, nothing was depressing, nothing was burned out. Everything was new, everything was good, everything was golden. When Paul, the apostle, wrote to the Jews, he gave them these words of encouragement. He said, all the people, now he's talking about all these people of faith, Abraham and Moses and David and Deborah and Esther, all these people of huge stature who were faithful people. All these Old Testament characters that we've learned about. He said all of these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised them. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance. They admitted that they were foreigners. They were strangers on earth. Now he says, people who say such things show that they're looking for a country of their own. Now if they'd been thinking of the country that they left, they could have gone back, he says. They could have returned. Abram left Ur. He struck out for a new country, one promised by God. And it says, if he thought that that was his